Merry Christmas, honey.
Merry Christmas, sweetheart.
Aw, thank you. You always give the best presents, you know that. And look at that. One of my favorite movies of all time, Lilies of the Field. You know me so well.
It's a classic.
It is. It is a classic. And I don't want to brag, but I got a little something for you that I thought you might enjoy as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for this.
I wrapped it myself.
I see that. I'm glad you were going green with the recycling the paper scraps there.
Oh, well, I found those lying about outside.
Oh, you,
Recycle.
Yeah, no crap. Yeah, you really shouldn't have. I mean, you really shouldn't have gotten this movie for me.
Merry Christmas.
We're getting a divorce.
Oh, I built a chapel.
I built a chapel.
You built a chapel.
You built a chapel.
We built a chapel.
He built the chapel.
Amen.
Well, another Christmas, another year that we tried to review Christmas Lilies of the Field. This is actually our second time trying to do this movie. We recorded an episode last year, and then when it came to editing, I found out that for some reason the sound hadn't captured, and we didn't have time to re-record the episode.
Because it's a movie.
So this is round 2.
And now you made me watch this movie again, and I told him this was his last chance because I am never watching this movie ever again.
This is technically Katie's 3rd time watching this movie.
This is my 3rd time. Help me, I'm being held here against my will.
So, this wonderful, wonderful little movie is a sequel to the much beloved classic Lilies of the Field. Am I wrong in thinking that's a much beloved classic, or is it kind of like a highbrow cult classic?
I don't know, it's one of my favorite movies. And I think it's famous because Sidney Poitier was the first black man to win an Oscar because of his role in Lilies of the Field.
It's one that I saw a couple of times growing up, and I feel like I don't really hear anybody talk about it today, but it's such a great little story.
It is an awesome movie. It is one of my favorite movies.
It's just fantastically wholesome, joy-filled. It's legitimately funny. Just a quick synopsis for those of you who may not know about Lilies of the Field. It stars Sidney Poitier as a traveling handyman.
Yeah.
And he's traveling across Arizona, and he comes across this little house of nuns in the middle of the desert. Mm-hmm. And they need someone to build a chapel, because their old chapel is all run down and decrepit. And it's the movie is kind of a battle of wills between Sidney Poitier and the Mother Superior, played by Lilia Scala.
Lots of luck, Mother. I ain't building no chapel.
Yeah, you.
Not only am I ain't building no chapel, I'm taking off. I ain't no contractor.
That is for the beginning.
No.
The movie's got a lot of subtlety and a lot of nuance, and it's not super preachy in what its message is, which is awesome. And so you're kind of left wondering, like, is she, like, manipulating him, or was it actually God's will that he stayed?
I think she's just really good at reading people.
Yeah, I think so.
You go to bed. Tomorrow Sunday is... The mass in town is 9 by the clock.
I'm a Baptist. I don't go to Mass.
We go.
Well, how'd you get there before I came along?
We walk every Sunday, now we got you.
Now, damn it! You ain't got me.
Good night, Schmidt.
Now, get that very straight.
Schlafen Sie wohl.
And cut that out.
And over the course of the movie, it becomes kind of a matter of pride for Homer to finish this chapel. And so it turns into about having to overcome that and having to ask for help when he doesn't want to. And in the end, the chapel gets built. And it's lovely. And he moves on. And they sing the Amen song a few times during the movie.
Mm-hmm. Amen. Amen. Amen.
15 years later, they made a sequel.
Starring none other than Lando Calrissian.
So Christmas Lilies of the Field came out in 1979. It is also directed by the same director, Ralph Nelson, and it stars Billy D. Williams as Homer Schmidt.
Schmidt!
Keep
I
pointing.
have to say that every time.
His name is Homer Smith. I keep calling him Homer Schmidt because that's what she calls him throughout the movies.
Schmidt. 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 Schmidt.
Homera Schmidt?
Homer Smith.
And it stars Maria Schall as Mother Maria. In fact, I think there's only one returning actress in this movie. One of the nuns comes back to play the same nun. Everyone else is, I believe everyone else is completely recast. And Katie, what is the story of Christmas Lilies of the Field?
Oh, it's the same one as regular Lilies of the Field, except it sucks, and they added a giant group of kids.
That old mother, she ain't suckering me into doing no more billing.
I'm gonna build a kindergarten.
I know.
I'm cashing in my chips and taking my losses. Look, I was wrong.
I tell the bishop the kindergarten is going to be built.
You do that.
I will tell him you get the labor
I will get the labor.
and the material.
And the what? This deal is getting worse all the time.
An indistinguished amount of time has passed. Homer Smith is traveling again through Arizona, and he decides to swing by the chapel and say hi to the nuns. And in the meantime, they've taken on a whole bunch of homeless kids to form a sort of orphanage, although they call it a kindergarten.
Well, you see, my language, kinder, is children. And garten is like your garden. So what you really have here is a garden for children of all ages.
The whole movie's about them trying to, again, get Homer Smith to build them something. In this case, they want him to build them a kindergarten for a place for these kids to live, because these kids are living in not great conditions.
They're living in a barn.
Yeah, Mama, this barn is no place for a kindergarten. This is for animals, not children. Warm?
They're dry.
As long as it doesn't rain, that place is a pigsty.
Oh, no, the pigsty's behind the barn.
So the same thing happens. Homer Smith decides against his will to stick around and build the kindergarten for these kids. And it's basically beat for beat the exact same story. Mm-hmm. Except for we have this subplot where a woman from the state is coming by, and she has given them a date that they have to have their kindergarten built by. Otherwise, they're going to take the kids and put them in foster care. And Mother Maria won't be having that.
I think that the issue is essentially that when they redo the plotline in this movie, first of all, they do it with almost no subtlety. It's really cartoony, the way that they do it. I don't know if it's the acting. I think it's more of the directing, because the actors are pretty good in Christmas Lilies of the Field. But there is, like, no character subtlety at all.
I think the most clear-cut way of seeing the differences between the two movies is in the opening scene to this movie, which is just, they redo the closing scene from the first one, but they do it with the new actors. So you have Billy D. Williams instead of Sidney Poitier.
Schmidt. You
Schmidt.
did not fasten the pews to the
You
door.
must oil the doors so they would not squeak
You
during
must
the
oil
mass.
the doors so they will not squeak in the mass.
It's done.
You must fasten the pews to
For
the
the rail
floor.
of the altar you
Stop.
did not fix.
Everything is done.
The altar rail must be fixed.
It's done. All finished.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well,
Then it is all
then it's all finished.
All finished. I done builded you a chapel.
And they're saying the exact same lines. I believe it's the same shots. It's shot for shot the exact same scene. But the inflections are different. The actress herself is doing a fine job. I think, but when you compare the direction she takes the character, as opposed to Lilia Scala in the original one, there's just so much more nuance.
Correction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
correct.
Correction. Thank
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, the thing is like, in this one, it's, like, crazy obvious that she's, like, she pretends to be cranky with him all the time. Like, you'll see her, you know, smiling when she sees him coming, and then all of a sudden he'll walk in and she'll start being, like, really cranky and rude to him, just, like, so you'll see the whole thing. Whereas in the first one, you got the impression that she was totally hardened because of the circumstances that she had been through, and that's why she was cranky. So there's this whole thing where you find out the nuns have escaped over the Berlin Wall, and they've come to America, and then they've got this little tiny convent in Arizona, and they're dirt poor, and they don't even have a chapel, and all the people are poor, so the mother is taking on the emotional brunt of the entire thing, and because of that, she's, like, really, like, rough and cranky, and she's always telling Homer, like, oh, you're just, you know, you've had an easy life in America, and you just sleep in all the time, and you don't take responsibility, and...
Me, I come 8,000 miles to this place. You cry about a few bricks which are not here when you want them. Do you know what we went through to get to this place?
And you can tell, like, she's the one who's taken on the emotional load for these 4 other nuns who are with her, who are always, like, super nice and happy. Whereas in this one, no, she's just, like, totally shallow and manipulative, and she just pretends to be grumpy to get Homer Smith to do things.
But Mother Maria, the kindergarten you wish to build, Homer could...
Homer will. But let us not let him know it yet.
I'm gonna say something controversial here.
Oh no.
I think Billy D. Williams is fine in this movie. Sidney Poitier is excellent. I think Billy D. Williams is, I have no complaints about him in this movie.
Oh, no, you don't. No, I'm on my way to El Paso.
Again, I think he's fine. Like, the whole thing about him in the first one is that it's basically a battle of wills between 2 incredibly headstrong people, both of whom have to get humbled by the end by each other. Whereas in this one, he's just kind of, like, goofy and lovable, and he's a little bit, like, headstrong and carefree, but not, like, he just doesn't have as much depth and nuance to him as in the first one.
He's much more prone to getting his heart tugged in certain directions. I think a lot of that's because a lot of the cast are kids, and he grows attached to quite a few of the kids, which is Mother Maria's plan from the beginning, is to get him to be emotionally attached to these kids, so he'll want to stick around and make sure that they have a better life. But there is no real inward struggle for him in this one, where it was all about that in the first one.
Give me yams and ham, and I'm a happy man.
I think when you lose that push and pull tension between Mother Maria and Homer Smith, then you have... I mean, that's where the gold is in the original one. And in this one, it's just both of them kind of united against the government.
Well, in this one it's push and pull between them. In this one, she has him on the end of a string.
There's more than one way to skin a cat.
But Billy D. Williams plays the role just fine. I mean, it's not unrecognizable as being a completely different character from the first movie. It's just kind of, you can tell this is Billy D. Williams' take on the character from this movie, and I think he plays it very well. I enjoyed him in this movie. The movie itself leaves a lot to be desired.
Mrs. Everett, you got a deal.
So, Katie, what did you think of Christmas Lilies of the Field?
It sucks. I will never watch that movie again. Okay, it's not the worst movie I've ever seen in my life.
9. Dankeschön, thank you.
I mean, the movie's not great. I wouldn't even say it's very good. I don't know if I'd classify this as a bad movie. It's just very middle of the road. Lilies of the Field is a drop-dead classic. It is funny, it is heartwarming, it is endearing. This movie is just like a lukewarm version of this.
Yeah. I think that the reason I hate this movie so much is not necessarily because it's like a full movie, but because this movie, Lilies of the Field, the first one, is just so good that it's almost like a crime to like, it makes this movie a crime. Because this movie is an insult to this movie.
How do you think this works as a Christmas movie?
Like the last 5 minutes are Christmassy.
Children go where I send thee. How shall I send thee? Well, I'm going to send you one by one.
I mean, it's no amen song, but I dug that song.
But born in Bethlehem. Children go where I send thee. How shall I send thee? Well, I'm going to send you 3 by 3. 3 for the Hebrew children.
And Billy D. Williams. I mean, he's Billy D. Williams.
But Joe, Sidney Poitier is the most beautiful, beautiful hunk of manliness in the entire universe.
But is he? I was gonna say, is he a scoundrel? No, Han Solo's a scoundrel. Lando wasn't a scoundrel.
Well, he was a scoundrel also.
He was a businessman.
He was a business scoundrel.
He had 2 scenes in Rise of Skywalker.